have you now.
They want to mess with my droid. They're going to pay for it.
This is the way.
You may fire when ready.
Blow that piece of junk out of the sky!
The way you're fighting, you wouldn't have lasted long.
Hello there.
Kenobi!
The ability to speak does not make you intelligent.
Welcome to the Star Wars Station Communication Podcast, Episode 2. I am your host, Carter, here with Colin, and we are going to be talking about a lot of exciting Star Wars stuff today. Colin, what are we going to be talking about today?
Oh, you know it. You love it. It's Obi-Wan, the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. I'm so excited. We're going to go through every detail. We're going to talk about the characters. We're going to talk about the settings. We're going to talk about the implications for the universe as a whole. So let's get into it.
We're going to give you guys a shot-for-shot teaser trailer breakdown. It's going to be great. You're going to hear a lot of speculation, a lot of observation. We know that we're giving this to you about a month after the trailer came out, actually. But this has given us a lot more perspective because a lot more things have come to light since then through interviews with cast members, interviews with people who are on set. All kinds of things have been given some more context. And so we're going to be giving you guys the most up-to-date feedback that you can get right now. So right now, sitting here in April, we know that coming up, starting very soon, is going to be basically the spring of Kenobi. It's like the spring of Obi-Wan Kenobi, because there is a ton of Kenobi products coming down the pipe. You've got the brand new comic coming out by Christopher Cantwell that's going to explore all of Kenobi's life from his time as a child in the Jedi Temple all the way to his time on Tatooine. Each issue is going to focus on a different era of his life. You're going to have the Brotherhood novel coming out very, very soon. And this is about Anakin and Obi-Wan in between The Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones. And then, obviously, you have the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. So we're just going to be getting a ton of Kenobi content right out the gate.
Yeah, it makes me super excited for the future. When is that book coming out? I want to read that, the comic book. You know?
The comic book is coming out very soon. Like I had said, it's by Christopher Cantwell, author of some Iron Man comics. And I believe that this comic may launch on May 4th. If I'm not mistaken. I actually need to figure out exactly when issue 1's coming out. But I know that it's going to start out with Obi-Wan as a Jedi initiate. It's going to follow his journey through the temple. It's going to highlight some things. And it's just going to give us a story from each era of his life. Because Obi-Wan is one of the richest characters in the canon for sure. You know, he's already a rich character in the EU in the Legends continuity, but his character is just extremely fleshed out already, and we're going to continue to see it be fleshed out as much as possible.
The character Obi-Wan was there at so many pivotal moments for the Star Wars universe. He's one of the most powerful Jedi. It's going to be really cool to see his upbringing and what shaped his ethos. You know, we get to see more Qui-Gon if that's the case. Man, that's great.
Yeah, it's gonna be phenomenal because you're right. He's the reason that Disney's giving us so much Obi-Wan content is because they know that he is beloved by fans. They are so excited to get Obi-Wan content that, you know, they can't get enough of it. He's one of the most popular characters in the franchise right now. The date for that comic book,
you could almost say it's overdue just a tad.
Oh, well, obviously. I think so, too. I think that I think this is one of the best parts that Disney's done. It's recognized the popularity of the character. Obviously, this has been grown through memes and things like that, but he's such a well-written and deep character. You know, people like to criticize the prequels sometimes, but it gave us this great characterization of Old Ben, where previously he had one movie, and now we see such an emotional journey from start to finish for this character that's, you know, nothing if not incredible, and some of the best screenwriting that we've had for Star Wars.
Right.
The comic's set to roll out on May 4th, to answer your question, and the Brotherhood novel is set to roll out on May 10th.
Excellent. May is going to be a very busy month. You know, there's a lot of movies that are coming out. We're going to have our hands full, and it's all going to be talked about here on our podcast and on the Instagram page, and we're going to do whatever we can on our Twitch channel too. So follow our link tree and check that stuff out.
Absolutely. So I think we can start to dive in. Before we give you the scene by scene breakdown, though, there's just been a lot of rumors swirling around about this show, the good and the bad, and so it's going to be really interesting to talk about all the news. Just the other day, there was a report that this is going to be very cameo heavy. Rupert Friend, who is playing the Grand Inquisitor, said in an interview that it is going to be full of cameos. The Star Wars fans are going to love it. Now this makes me kind of nervous. I don't know how you feel. We all watched the Book of Boba Fett, and I enjoyed the Book of Boba Fett, but I did think it was a little heavy-handed with the cameos. And so it scares me that might be the case with this, especially if we're bringing back folks from the dead. That's my biggest concern.
Yeah, scrolling through the cast earlier today, Ice Cube is going to be on there. I've always liked his characters. I like him as an actor. He brings a good perspective. I hope he brings a lot to the table in the Star Wars universe. Kumal Nanjiani is slated to play some role in this. He's a character in the Marvel. Who was the character in that Marvel?
He's Kingu Celestial. From the Eternals.
Kingu, yes, that's right. He's an accomplished actor. I hope, Star Wars is such a character-driven narrative that it's really cool to have these characters, or these actors in here to play these maybe one-off characters. We saw it a bunch in Mandalorian even, with a few people here and there, but some of them have some staying power, and I really like that. I kind of wish that carries on. I'm looking forward to what Christopher Lloyd does. And who is he? What was he going to be?
He's going to be in The Mandalorian. Mandalorian Season 3, Christopher Lloyd.
Yeah. He's one of my favorite actors of all time. So let's see how it goes. Let's tread carefully,
Right. I think you're right. And I think that we're going to speak on some of the most hopeful cameos that we're going to see as we give this scene-by-scene breakdown. So, without further ado, I think we can hop right in. When you look at the Obi-Wan Kenobi trailer, opening shot, it's Ewan McGregor on top of his trusty Eopie that he was riding at the end of Revenge of the Sith, and he's just riding through the desert, slowly, ploddingly. It's really similar to how the Legends novel has him. He's on that Eopie all the time in the Legends novel. He gives it a name. The name is slipping me right now, but he's really dear friends with this Eopie, and so we see this as the first shot. And then we come in to a monologue from Ewan McGregor where he says, "It's over. We lost." And this is the first place that I think we already, 2 seconds into the film, we can already start speculating. Who's he talking to? Who's he giving that line to?
You're talking about the Eopie. There's just so much to say in so few of the scenes. Especially with The Mandalorian, there's like this spaghetti western trope to the whole thing, and this just reinforces that we're going to get more of this same high-level quality writing that we all know and love with this Star Wars in the 2020s. It's exciting. It really is. And the Tatooine is a final frontier. It seems like it's real analogous to the Old West. Just so, exactly like you said, so much in these opening scenes. What are we going to get? What's going to happen? I can't wait to see what happens. And then, Qui-Gon, like you said, who's he talking to? Is he talking to Qui-Gon, his master from the past? Is he talking to Yoda? Because, they had a simpatico brotherhood type relationship training Luke up.
Exactly. Well, we've seen so many times where Yoda has already in canon, he communed with Ezra Bridger when Ezra Bridger was at the Jedi temples, and obviously Yoda knew about this. So we've seen Yoda be able to move through space with these like visions to speak to people. So Kenobi could be speaking to him, or what I hope is happening, and I think is the first place we can see a great cameo, is I hope they bring Liam Neeson back. I think that this line, "It's over, we lost," would be perfect for him to be communing with Qui-Gon Jinn. Now we know that he's got a disembodied voice right now. Qui-Gon Jinn didn't master how to turn into a Force ghost. He only mastered how to have his voice manifested in the Force. But the Entertainment Weekly shots that came out in tandem with the trailer that have different pictures than the trailer do show Obi-Wan in a really light blue cave, a blue lighted cave that he's sitting at, obviously on Tatooine, and he's looking at someone or at something. There's no clear way to say. He's just like looking around the room, but his eyes are fixed on something. Ewan McGregor is clearly staring at something, and this echoes the only time we've seen Obi-Wan speak to Qui-Gon's Force Ghost in canon, which is on Mortis. When he and Ahsoka are in the cave together in Mortis, Qui-Gon comes to Obi-Wan for the first and only time that we know of. And this is obviously very unique, very important, and I think that these parallels are really clear right here. And I hope that this is a similar situation.
Yeah, me too. The implications for that are huge. I don't want it overdone. But we do need to see more of the Force Ghosts. Even if it's just a voice cameo, I'm so hopeful for that. I'm hopeful to see what's going on. And one other thing I want to add to the context here is, even though it's 10 years after, this is a grizzled war veteran who has faced so much in the 3 years that the Clone Wars took place. It was such a harrowing time. He was integral to so many parts of it, going from Mandalore to all these space battles, all these things, and ends up exiled on Tatooine, looking after the last best hope to resist the Imperials. And just the weight on his shoulders is so much. We lost. It's over. We lost.
He saw the entire Jedi Order dead. He saw his Padawan fall, turn to the dark side. He's seen so many Jedi killed. He saw the brutality of war. Like, there's no reason that, although Obi-Wan is clearly a representative of the concept of patience, and he's a representative of the concept of hope, he still has to be emotionally scarred from these things. And I think that's something we can expect right out the gate from this series, is maybe a depressed Obi-Wan, maybe an Obi-Wan that's suffering from the ailments from being inflicted mentally from all of this tragedy in his life. He's obviously the most tragic, maybe second most tragic character in Star Wars behind Anakin himself.
Yeah. And this could be a mini redemption arc,
So next scene keeps rolling on. We have Kenobi rides the Eopie over to Luke's farm and sees Luke sitting on the top of the dome playing like he's in a pod racer.
Right, lots of heritage there. Or it could be some other space fighter. We know Luke was a good pilot. We know he wanted to join the pilot academy, Imperial Pilot Academy. And will we get to see a pod racer? Wouldn't that? We had a small hint of that in The Mandalorian. Gosh, wouldn't that be something to see this in this show? What do you think?
That would. No, I think you're right. Well, Cobb Vanth, his speeder of choice is an engine from an old pod racer that he turned into a speeder, and I think that this is great. So Tatooine has still got to be known for that. There's still the criminal element to the whole planet. And I hope that's not lost in this series. I really hope that we still see the criminality and the roughness of Tatooine. People have complained. We've seen a lot of Tatooine lately. And we certainly have. I don't disagree that we've seen a lot of Tatooine. We're about to get a whole lot more of it. And so they have to continue to flesh this place out. And I just hope we don't lose the criminal aspect of the whole place. But yeah, the pod racer parallels are great. Obviously, this is calling to Luke being just like his dad. The kid they cast to play Luke, I don't know his name, but he looks great. He looks like a young Luke, but he also looks like a young Anakin. They've got a lot of very similar features, a similar haircut. So I think this is great. And it also, this draws parallels to the boyishness and the naivete of Luke, even though he's just a child, the naivete of Luke in A New Hope. He's playing with his T-47 Skyhopper. He's a farm boy. He's never been off the planet, but he has this yearning to go off the planet. Yoda says he's never keeping his mind on the present, and it's clear, even in just this little shot, that is the case.
Now you could tell something's drawing him away, that there's something more to his situation. He's got Obi-Wan watching him the whole time. Being that watcher in the darker, watcher from afar, God, what are we going to see? Is Luke even going to play more than a side character in this? I mean, I hope not, but maybe that's for the best too.
I do hope that he plays a pretty minor side character. I'd like to see shots of Luke. A line or two of dialogue could be delivered from him. I'm not sure how that would work. But it's okay if we hear a little bit from Luke. But this is about Kenobi, and I hope that it sticks to Kenobi. I really think that the series can soar if it doesn't focus too much on Luke. And also, we can't have anyone get too close to Luke, because that's a very delicate situation here.
Right, we don't want anybody figuring out who he is. Well, we know that doesn't happen, but still.
But right, we can't have anyone getting close to that. So there's definitely a way the writers are going to have to circumvent that I think will be interesting to see.
Right.
So next shot is Duel of the Fates. Lucasfilm's logo, and it goes right into the Duel of the Fates. And this is immediately, fans are going nuts. Everybody loves it. Everyone knows that exact song. Even passive fans are totally familiar with one of the best scores in Star Wars. And it just takes the energy of the trailer up to 11 immediately.
Right. Chills. Well, and what's right after that? Tell them what's right after that.
Yeah, well, right after that, we get the Grand Inquisitor's monologue over a ship flying into Nur to the Fortress Inquisitorius. For our non-gaming listeners, this is the fortress that we see in a Fallen Order on the planet Nur, which is an ocean moon in the Mustafar system. In the shot that you can see, you can't see it behind it, but there is Mustafar is on the other side of the planet that Nur orbits. So it is, there's this great big castle in the ocean that is the Fortress Inquisitorius. And just on Mustafar, right over on the other moon, is Vader's castle. And so these kind of play a parallel. Ocean moon, big black Sith castle, lava moon, big black Sith castle. Right. It's really a neat parallel that they were able to draw in the Fallen Order game. This is all credited to Fallen Order. And we see a lot of winks from that and Rebels in this entire trailer.
It's such a huge, vastly original plot pieces and set pieces of these. The castle of Mustafar, the Inquisitor's castle, and it has a whole underwater element to it. You need to go play the game. If you're a Star Wars fan and you haven't played that game all the way through, you're really missing out. Maybe check out the stream. It could be on there someday. But to see this on the screen and how they introduced it in just these few moments in the trailer, I'm sitting here having watched this trailer probably close to 100 times. At various speeds, and I'm still getting chills talking about this thing with friends.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's great. It's awesome for people to get to see the concept behind that. It's really, really cool to see. So, you have the Grand Inquisitors. You have the Grand Inquisitor's monologue that begins. And just like we asked, who is Obi-Wan talking to? Which is maybe more of an abstract thought, but really, who is the Grand Inquisitor talking to? I mean, probably the other Inquisitors that we see kind of in that office space looking room. Exactly, and he's letting them know this is how you hunt a Jedi. But the way that they give that monologue delivered with all of the scenes of Kenobi interacting and Lars and all of that is just such a great overlay for what we're going to get out of the series, which is just essentially, it's going to be a chase. It's Obi-Wan's going to be on his heels. We only have 6 episodes to tell the story. So from episode 1, he's going to be on the back foot, and he's immediately going to be hunted. And that's going to be really, really interesting.
Right, and as we'll develop this further in this discussion here, we get to see if you're a fan of Star Wars, a big fan like we are, you knew whose voice that was as soon as the first syllables entered your eardrums, right? And so, for me, it's almost like, where were you when the trailer dropped? And you heard, because everybody knew, if you're a Star Wars fan, you knew that that they were making Obi-Wan, but you just knew there was an Obi-Wan series. You didn't know that the Inquisitors were going to be there. Maybe if you saw some really got down to the nitty-gritty details, but to actually hear it and see it on screen, and you hear this character's voice, Carter, isn't he the same actor from the cartoon, from the Rebels cartoon?
No. Unfortunately, it's a different actor than the Rebels cartoon. So Jason Isaacs did an amazing job in Rebels. He portrayed the Grand Inquisitor perfectly. But now we have Rupert Friend, and I don't think that that's a problem. As far as the voice is concerned, I think Rupert Friend still adds this great dramatic, measured tone out of his voice that is necessary for this character, that we got out of Rebels, that we came to understand. I mean, the Grand Inquisitor is easily the most fleshed out villain in Rebels. Well, other than Thrawn, I guess.
Right.
But other than Thrawn, the Grand Inquisitor easily has the most background and is super fleshed out in Rebels.
But, let's continue this discussion. We'll get to a couple more scenes, and there's more I want to say on this. Let's move on.
Well, I think that we have to talk about, as far as the Grand Inquisitor is concerned, Rupert Friend playing him. There's been a lot of criticism of the way that he looks, not of Rupert Friend's acting, but of the way that the Grand Inquisitor looks. Everyone's heard it. He and the Fifth Brother don't look exactly like they do in Rebels. Some people will excuse this as, it's a cartoon, it doesn't transfer to live action, and that criticism may hold water if, for the fact he wasn't, if for the fact that we haven't already seen his species if we haven't already seen his species in Revenge of the Sith. Because we've already seen his species on Utapau. We've seen Powans. They have the elongated face, just like he does on Rebels. They have sharp teeth that come in together. And they have really sunken in red eyes. And we don't really seem to be getting any of these elements from Rupert Friend's Grand Inquisitor. He's just a big bulbous head guy. And I think the Fifth Brother criticisms are a lot weaker. I think the Fifth Brother looks pretty much like he does in Rebels. But people are concerned about both of these looks, and how such an expensive company like Disney could make mistakes like this. Yeah,
it's not that big a deal to me. There's technical limitations. There's, in my opinion, a philosophy of making it your own. You can't make. I don't think it should be 100% true to what you saw in a cartoon. There's some exceptions, like when they tried to pull that whole nonsense with Sonic the Hedgehog and stuff. But this doesn't rise to that level. Is this CGI effects where the regular actors just walking around with a little cap on, or is it a practical effect where he's wearing some sort of mask or makeup and a headpiece? If it's practical effects, there's something to be said for that. That really wins me over as far as not 100% caring what a character looks like in regards to a cartoon.
But how do you feel about him totally lacking the look of Powans that we've seen in live action, that we saw in Revenge of the Sith? Because they were practical effects. I'm not sure about Rupert Friend. I believe his are also practical effects, but I know for a fact that Powans in Revenge of the Sith are. And they've got the elongated craniums, and they've got the sunken-in eyes that he seems to be lacking, and especially the teeth. The teeth, I think his teeth are straight. It's hard to tell in the trailer. It seems that his teeth are straight, though. And that seems like a canonical problem, because his teeth are pointed in Rebels.
Yeah, so Disney has something to answer for. If all those in Revenge of the Sith were practical effects, then yeah, I take it back. What's the deal, yo? Let's figure this out. Come on.
Right. Which I think, I think the series is great, and I'm not too worried about the way that the practical effects are going to look when I'm confident that Rupert Friend is going to deliver a great Grand Inquisitor.
Yeah.
But it is still something that I think needs to be said. But we can move through that and keep talking about just coming after the shots on Nur are a series of shots very, very quickly that are shots of Tatooine and of the Grand Inquisitor questioning someone that is probably Owen Lars.
You skipped a scene. Sorry, you skipped a scene, I think. Isn't it where all standing around the table in the castle?
Or that's on Nur. That's on Nur.
Come on, there's two other new characters in that scene. You can't leave that out. One of them is a phenomenal actress, Moses Ingram, playing Reva, the third sister. And, there's another actor, unnamed female Inquisitor, who I'm not sure who the actress is. But my goodness, Moses Ingram was in The Queen's Gambit. She's a phenomenal actress that she won a Primetime Emmy Award for. So, you start digging into deeper of who these characters are in this, and you realize real fast that this series is going to have some heavy weight to it. That here's an actress who's coming into her own. As we're going to talk about, there's a lot of scenes that she's in. She's going to be one of the main supporting characters of this. And this is the first shot. It shows where she has a lot of power and a lot of play in this Inquisitor thing. Inquisitorious setup.
Sure, yeah, the Inquisitor boardroom is how it looks. It's right. I think that I think it's a little bit of a goofy shot. We get to see the new Inquisitors a little more, especially Moses Ingram's character, Reva. She's the third sister, Reva. StarWars.com confirmed this, I believe, just a couple weeks ago. And so we finally have a name for her. We still don't know who the woman is with the tentacles. I'm not even sure what species she is. But the scene itself, the shot of the boardroom, I think is just a little bit campy, but it's still a good shot, and I'm sure that it's going to look better. But as we move through these scenes on Tatooine, we see these Inquisitors now more, and we also, because we have interspersed scenes on Tatooine and scenes on Daiyu, brand new planet that has been described as gritty, kind of underworldish, and a lot like Hong Kong with the bright neon lights and the Arabesh everywhere, and so. We have these two planets that are really different. One's very rural, like Tatooine, and one's very urban, like Daiyu. And these shots are just interspersed. You get Moses Ingram's character, you get Reva in Owen Lars's face. And I think this is the most impactful part of all these scenes, is we have an Entertainment Weekly shot and a shot of her drawing her lightsaber on Owen. Because when she draws her lightsaber on Owen, the Inquisitors are obviously force sensitive. Everybody knows that. So Owen Lars, at least now, through my speculation, must be so protective of Luke and so capable of this, is that he is able to conceal Luke's existence from an Inquisitor while they have the Force, which is astounding for a regular guy like Owen Lars to do.
Yeah. Those few scenes you're talking about with the confrontation in the outdoor cantina, and she has them lined up in a town square looking type thing, and they're hunting a Jedi on Tatooine. So there's a guy with his feet hanging there. What happens here? Did they find a Jedi, or they find a sympathizer? Can you imagine the fear? But you'll put yourself in Owen Lars' shoes, where he's got somebody that old Ben delivered to him and says you have to protect him at all costs, and here's they haven't seen somebody with a lightsaber around in 10 years, and this evil, somebody who is evil, comes around poking around asking for Jedi. It's got to be pretty terrifying.
Yeah, no, I think you're totally right. But that's the impressive part about Lars's character here, is that it has to be terrifying. And again, for now, we have to assume that he's successful in hiding Luke, because Luke wasn't found. Luke never got found before A New Hope. Right. And so there's no way that he betrayed that. And so Owen Lars has some aptitude to him to resist some Force probing. And I think that's very, very impressive. Yes. I think that's great for his character. It shows his dedication to Luke Skywalker as his uncle. Because with the little characterization we have from A New Hope, a lot of people, think that he's pretty harsh on Luke, but we obviously know that's not the case. And I think that this show is going to give a lot of deserved background to him and Beru.
Yeah, the harshness is for a reason. You're a farmer. Right. You got to make the ends meet. Every ounce of effort counts. And there's Inquisitors out there. You step out of line, you're going to get got.
Yeah, exactly. So we continue to move through shots of Tatooine and Daiyu, and then we see on Daiyu, we see the fifth brother, we see the other unnamed female Inquisitor, and we see Obi-Wan is on Daiyu. We know that he's there, but we don't know why. And, before this, what it's kind of assumed is that Obi-Wan stays on Tatooine, but he obviously doesn't. He obviously leaves, so we don't really know why. What is his reason for leaving?
Yeah, there's a lot to speculate about here. Something dire must have drawn him out. Otherwise, what else? All his friends are in exile. Is it another Jedi that asked for help? This is a new planet. The setting is really cool looking. The Inquisitors show up for a reason. There's somebody who snitched on somebody doing something they shouldn't have when these Inquisitors show up. And so there's going to be, the implication here is another Jedi reached out to Obi-Wan or heard his call, this other Jedi's call to come save him. And so, being that there's other video game elements to this, we don't know everything, but there's comic book elements to these shows coming out. Could we see, who could we see in this? You know, could it be somebody we know? Is it going to be somebody new? With all these guest characters in here, there's no telling. The speculation is riveting.
Well, I really like your speculation on that. The reason he leaves is another Jedi, and so because as far as Obi-Wan knows, as far as we know, Obi-Wan knows it's just him and Yoda, and so if there's another Jedi out there and Obi-Wan feels that he needs to make contact with this person, that's really, really a cool concept, and I hope that it would be an original Jedi. I would really like to see an original Jedi. I mean, there were 10,000 strong when the purge happened. And so this clearly should be somebody else. I hope it's not someone that we know, because it's great to always have people continually being added to the lore of the universe. But I have a different speculation on why he leaves the planet.
Let's hear it.
And I think that the Inquisitors might be catching on to Luke. I think that they might be catching on to Kenobi, and that he does something a little too heroic, brings them to Tatooine, and knows that he has to draw them away from Tatooine. So Kenobi might have to leave the planet just to go to another planet to cause problems.
And it's all,
to make
the whole thing's a fake.
Exactly. He's totally just trying to make the Inquisitors leave Tatooine and think that there was nothing there and that the important stuff is happening on Daiyu.
Right.
And I think that would be a great heroic concept. And who's not to say that these two things are the case together? We could have a Jedi visit Tatooine, find Kenobi, cause too much of a ruckus, and then he has to leave to draw them off the scent. There's all kinds of ways that this could happen, or we could both be totally wrong, and something else great could happen.
Yeah, the speculation is part of the fun when you're at this stage. It's just, there's so many elements of these shows. Disney's doing such a good job. The actors are doing such a good job. Can't wait.
Yeah, I think that his leaving the planet was one of the more controversial aspects rolling into this, but I don't think that it's going to end up being controversial. There's two controversial aspects throughout the production of this that I think really stood out, one of which was his leaving the planet, and the other we'll get to. The other we can get to. I think we should save that for the end because it's another controversial topic.
Oh, yeah. So the next scene immediately after is the droid. And
brand new droid.
Brand new droid. And droids are a major deal. Carter and I are both reading a book called Last Shot. And we're listening to the audiobook, and it's really droid focused. I encourage you to pick that up and listen to it. We're going to have a discussion about it on here sometime. But I don't care what you think about droids. Droids are a central focus to Star Wars. They're very fun. And here's a new one. Here's another new droid. I think in the last podcast we talked about K2SO possibly being in the Andor series. And so whose droid companion is this going to be? What are the implications here? It's such a rich universe where we get to discover these cool things. But immediately after that is a butt shot that a lot of people are talking about.
Yeah.
And so Disney, I think, has pulled a fast one on us because a lot of the colors and the lighting is the same on this. The droid has some blue accents, so it feels like that this is the droid, the backside of the droid, fixing to go do something. But a lot of people are speculating that this is a clone trooper.
Right.
What do you think, Carl?
Yeah, exactly. Well, you stole the words right out of my mouth because when you see this droid, Ned is what people are calling him. If you read the Arabesh letters on his chest plate, it says Ned. This droid's going to be, hopefully, a part of this because, like you said, they're so important to Star Wars. There's many actors who haven't yet been given a role. And so a lot of people speculate this droid could be voiced by Kumal Nanjiani. And that this could be a little bit of because he plays a comic relief character in the Eternals, not complete comic relief, but he has a lot of funny scenes. This could still be. This is the droid's most common trope in Star Wars, obviously. K2SO, 3PO, R2D2, Chopper, BB-8, they're all comic relief. And so if this droid continues
to draw in kids too.
Exactly. So if this droid continues that, it could be Kumal Nanjiani's character, but we don't know that yet. But then you're right. So a second later, we get the butt shot, and the butt shot is for a split second. And like you said, they play with lighting tricks. It looks a lot like that droid, and if you just were to accept this at face value, watch the trailer once or twice, you'd totally think it's that droid. It makes absolute sense. But I think what gives it away is if you look at those fingers, they're much too articulate to be a droid's fingers, I think, that are holding whatever he's holding. And so I don't know if it's a clone trooper. I'm not ready to declare that yet, because I know a lot of people are hoping it's Rex. A lot of people are hoping it's Cody. And I think with Tamura Morrison being around and with de-aging technology the way it is, we'll almost certainly get a clone in this. I just don't know if it's this guy yet, but I'm confident that we're going to get one.
Right, and there's no reason why clones aren't out there still trying to execute Order 66.
Right, exactly. So after the butt shot, we get a real quick shot of someone rubbing their hand on a carving of the Jedi Order symbol. There's not a whole lot to this scene insofar as where we can speculate, but it is a really neat scene. It's just a really split-second shot, but it just kind of represents the longing that some in the galaxy might still have for the Jedi Order, whether it's a Jedi themselves, whether this is like a symbol or a message that they're using to communicate with each other. We have no idea. This would be a pretty ineffective symbol since everybody knows what it means. But this is important, and I hope that this is kind of fleshed out and that we get a good reason for this shot somewhere.
There's a lot in between there too. A lot more shots of explosions and blasters going off. A bunch of different things in here. There's going to be a lot of action to this. Hope survives is another tagline that pops up in here. And as we know, that follows shortly after in the timeline is A New Hope, that Obi-Wan was an integral part to. So there's a lot to look forward to in this that fits a lot of different needs for a lot of audience.
No, yeah, you're absolutely right, because as soon as after the Jedi Order carving, we get some of the only action in the trailer. There's a little bit of action, but the main action is Kenobi being completely uncivilized and using a blaster and firing at somebody. It is clearly not the Inquisitors. And so we don't know if these people are stormtroopers. We don't know if these people are bounty hunters. We're not really sure, but we know that he's on Daiyu and he is sitting there firing his blaster at them.
Right. He has to blend in with the crowd. He doesn't want to whip out a lightsaber and just give his position away. They might not know who he is. They could think he's a bounty hunter or somebody with information they're chasing after.
Exactly. Well, because right before this, I think, it might be right after, but I believe it's right before, we get Reva, the third sister, standing off with someone with a blaster. But it's only a back shot, the classic back shot of someone holding a gun and then cutting away before they reveal who it is. So I don't think that shot is Obi-Wan, because I don't believe that we would actually get that. We would get that kind of mysterious shot if it was just Obi-Wan, because they want that to be built up to be somebody. And I've seen speculation all over the place on who it could be. Oh, it's a clone trooper. Oh, it's Cad Bane. Oh, it's this. Oh, it's that. I don't think that there is anything in this shot that gives us even a hint of who that is.
I want to defer to being Obi-Wan. If they try and put Cad Bane or some other people in this, they're going to be cramming way too much in.
Yes, I agree. I hope it's an established character, or at least if we're getting the clone, I hope it's that, and not we get the clone and somebody else. And, I would like this to focus on a few key characters and really make them shine instead of it just being a, who's the cameo of the week type thing.
And we know we're going to have that at least with the actors that we've been given, like we said, that the girl playing Reva, Moses Ingram, Ewan McGregor, Kumal Nanjiani, it's a star-studded list. So
yes,
we're getting something good for sure.
You're right. You're absolutely right. And the star-studding continues. So after the blaster fight with Kenobi, we get a Hope Survives title card. This is obviously talking about Luke. Luke is the hope that survives. So this doesn't take much speculation. And then after that comes the Obi-Wan Kenobi logo and the iconic sound of Darth Vader breathing in the background. Right. We know he's coming. We know that he's going to be there. And this is the big reveal for general audiences.
Yeah, so we've known for a long time that Hayden Christensen is coming back. But the only thing we have past that, besides him playing Darth Vader in this, and the breathing, is what's this going to be? Like, is he going to interact with Inquisitors? Is it going to be a flashback? I think it'd be a big faux pas for him to interact with Obi-Wan.
Well, we have confirmation. We do have confirmation from Kathleen Kennedy that Obi-Wan and Darth Vader are going to have a lightsaber fight in this.
Is that right, though?
I
guess it's okay.
That is confirmed.
I mean, that's confirmed, but what do you think about that? I don't know how well that sits with me.
This is the other controversial thing that I was talking about earlier, other than Obi-Wan leaving the planet, is his engagement with Darth Vader. There are some out there that feel that that the lines from A New Hope make this a really, really tenuous connection. And then there are some that try to explain it away using the lines of A New Hope, because Vader's specific line is something like, when I left you, I was but the master, or I was but the learner, now I am the master. And they're really focusing in on the words, when I left you. Because the last time we get this, we get Obi-Wan leaving Anakin. This is the last known fight, Obi-Wan leaves him. And so now, with Vader saying, when I left you, people always used to think this just meant when he left the Jedi Order, when I left the light side, this. But now it can be much more physical in meaning when Vader left him. But my question, if that is the case, is how does Vader leave Obi-Wan? Because if he's leaving Obi-Wan, I would not imagine Vader would leave him alive. This doesn't seem like something that would happen. So there has to be something that happens in between to where Vader believes that he's dead or something like that. Because there's no way that they come into contact without Vader basically obsessively hunting him down, as far as I'm concerned. I don't see how you can get around that fact.
Right. Gosh, the implications for that are just huge. So, like, does he know Luke is around? Does he know that he's concealing something? It seems like, since it feels to me like they're shoehorning that in a bit, but they're working with what they have to work with, right? We know the last time Vader you were there when we saw Vader at the end of Rogue One. How many times have you watched that scene over and over? Probably
right.
More than this trailer. It was so bombastic seeing Vader on the screen that this is like, where was you at the end of Mandalorian Season 1? Where were you at the end of Mandalorian Season 2? All these other cool things that happen that they're doing in the Star Wars things that this should be no different. And so, yeah, that sounds... I hope you're right in this case. And that would mean Obi-Wan tucks his tail and goes back to Tatooine. And that means Luke is safe, that Vader might have thought he won, but really Obi-Wan won in the end by keeping Luke safe, and hope remains alive.
Right. I think from the first storyline of the Star Wars 2015 comic, we can't reasonably imagine that Vader would know about Luke's existence. Because this is, I believe, when Vader is first introduced to that he might be a Skywalker, or that there might be something off about the pilot who destroyed the Death Star, other than his Force sensitivity. And so, I think this is the first hint seen in that comic. So I hope and can't believe if Vader would know about Luke's existence. But clearly he has to know about Obi-Wan's, because we know they engage each other. So how they're gonna circumnavigate this will be very important. But you're right, Hayden Christensen, he did a bang up job for this. He came back, reprised as Vader. Hopefully we see him in some flashbacks in the Clone Wars. I'd love to see them don the Clone Wars cartoon armor, do a couple shots in the Clone Wars. I think that'd be great. This is also a place that you could reasonably put Tamura Morrison in, and it not really be near as big of a deal if that's actually not a clone trooper in the show. But Hayden Christensen, he studied up for this role. And so this is why I think that we're almost certainly going to get a flashback to the Clone Wars, is because just today, just yesterday, it's been confirmed that Hayden Christensen watched all of the Clone Wars and all of Star Wars Rebels to prepare himself for this.
Yeah, that's excellent.
It's amazing. What dedication from this guy. There are certain Star Wars actors who, they don't really like to talk about being in Star Wars. They don't really like Star Wars. Harrison Ford being the case example there. But Hayden Christensen's a fan. And even though he went through all the vitriol after the prequels, people have really come around to him. People love him. We want him back in Kenobi. And so I think he's ready to embrace that. And I'm really happy for him that he's able to do that. And I'm really happy that we're getting a Star Wars fan back on the screen in Star Wars.
Yeah, and Hayden's a young guy who to me, this just means we have a really bright future. Darth Vader is such an iconic character. Anakin Skywalker is such an iconic character. The Clone Wars spanned such a long era, and the cartoon covered a lot of issues. But we have a live action Ahsoka. Or why can't we bring these two characters together in some capacity? So much to look forward to.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're totally right. I can't wait. This trailer was superb as far as teaser trailers go. This is exactly what anyone could hope for. I hope that since it was labeled as a teaser trailer, we're going to reasonably get another trailer probably around May the 4th, if I had to guess. And we'll do a whole other breakdown for that trailer. And we're going to be wanting to talk about all of the new things that we get to see in that. But it is a great trailer, and all of the little tidbits that we were able to plug in that we've heard from interviews since have just really fleshed this out and given us a better idea of what's coming. And it's exciting. What's coming is exciting. This Kenobi trailer is poised to be the best Star Wars product that Disney's put out. And hopefully it is. I'd like for it to be, certainly.
Yeah.
Now we can roll right into the Holonet news segment. I think that we've sufficiently covered that trailer, and so let's talk about the Star Wars news swirling around the internet this week. There's some really exciting things coming down the pipeline that has been officially announced, and a couple of rumors. So we'll start with the rumor. The most exciting one is that Visions will receive a Season 2. This is a rumor that's been reported by Cinelinx. It's not confirmed by any means. Nobody has any idea, but I would imagine that it would receive a Season 2 because, the individual episodes received some mixed reviews. There were certainly some that were fan favorites over others, but as a whole, people really liked this, and it brought new fans into Star Wars. So I think that Visions getting a Season 2 could only be good for the fans and only be good for Disney.
I agree 100%. I think I've watched through Visions twice, and that's all the episodes. I've had a lot of discussions with friends. I could rank my favorite episodes and my least favorite episodes, but I have my own perspectives, right? A lot of these other episodes might be somebody else's favorite episodes. The point with Visions is for a lot of content creators to make their own what they want to see and put on screen in Star Wars, and then what they want to see, what audience they want to deliver their content to. And, there's the Jedi span such a vast swath of this universe's timeline, and there's no reason why these stories couldn't exist outside of what somebody's prejudiced notions are from some animation style or something like that. Like I said, some aren't my favorite and all, but none of them were that bad. They all had some real quality to them that I enjoyed quite a lot.
I think you're right. So I posed a question on our Instagram when this news came out on if people would like to see this be a majority sequels to the old Visions episodes or a majority original content, all original content. I don't think anyone wants to see all sequels, but there might be people out there who want to. And so I'd like to, if you're listening to this on YouTube, please leave a comment. And if you're listening to it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever else you get your podcasts, come DM us. Come send us something on Instagram. Let us know what you think. And Colin, what do you think? Do you want it to be, would you like to see sequels, or do you want to see all original content, or somewhere in between?
There's a select few concepts of some sequels I want to see. I'm sorry I don't know the names of all the episodes, but the Jedi and his Padawan who hunted the Sith.
The Elder. This is my favorite episode. I love the Elder.
In a lot of cases, it seems kind of like an antithesis to what we've seen. It's what we've seen mostly is the Skywalker saga and some other offshoots here and there. So, like this Jedi and his Padawan are just out seemingly roaming the galaxy looking for problems to solve, and that's such a cool and original concept that we have never seen much of, and has a lot of flexibility in an animated setting.
Well, and it's set in a really good era for an episode because it's set before the High Republic. It's set when space is still really wild. And so there's a lot of cool things that they can do, even though the Sith are gone for the most part. But then they find this guy. So I think you're right. But any other episodes you'd like to see sequels of, or just all original content?
Oh, the samurai, the first one, that one would be cool. And then
The Ronin, yeah.
Yeah, the Ronin, and then the last one, one of the last ones, where the artificer guy crafts the lightsaber that attunes to the alignment of the Jedi.
Ninth Jedi.
Yeah, the Ninth
Jedi is also one of my favorites, and this one is poised for a sequel. And this one, I think, could easily be canon. It's supposed to be set, I believe, after the Rise of Skywalker, and it talks about the rebuilding of the Jedi Order. It has to be set a little down the line for that concept, but I really hope that we can get a sequel out of that. I'd like to see that episode made canon. There's obviously a few episodes I'd like to see made canon, and a few that can't be, and none of this will happen. I think Visions will always lay in a space that is tenuously canon. For the Ronin episode, they made a whole Ronin novel that came out just a couple months ago. I haven't read it or anything, but I do know that it firmly sits in its own canon. Because it makes it impossible for it to be canon.
Yeah, one of my goals is I want to make a cosplay based off that. At the end where the character reveals all the red crystals that he's collected from evil Sith is such a cool concept. And it, just that idea alone, you don't have to fit into. So you could be wearing your custom Mandalorian armor, and you've got your bandolier of crystals that you collected from Jedi that you defeated, kind of like Grievous, but there's a little bit more to it.
I think that'd be awesome, and I think there's a lot of cool stuff that we're going to get out of this Vision season. So next, we have some news that just came out yesterday, and it is fresh off the presses. It is confirmed that Skydance New Media is creating a Star Wars game. This is headed by Amy Hennig. She's formerly of Naughty Dog Creative. And this is the same studio. This is the same studio that comes out with Uncharted. And so we're going to be getting a Star Wars game, possibly the same mechanics as Uncharted. I'm not really sure, kind of the puzzle and the open exploration mechanics. I haven't played Uncharted. I've definitely seen it played, and I know how popular it is. So I'd really like to see, any Star Wars game coming out is a good thing.
Right. Star Wars games have such a huge opportunity today that they didn't in the past. Carter, I know you're an avid gamer when it comes to PCs and consoles. I am too. We've played a lot of the games over the years, and we're not talking like Battlefront, some of the ones that came out recently. We played the RTS game from back in the day.
Yeah, the best Star Wars game. The best Star Wars game. I love it. I love Empire at War.
The Pod Racer game in the arcade. You remember playing that one back in the day?
Yes.
At a pizza place or whatever. Star Wars games have a really rich history. It's hard to think of a bad one out there. Or something that didn't provide some sort of value somehow. And more coming down the pipe is always a good thing. I need to read up more on this one, but to plug it once again, you're going to be able to see this game on our Twitch channel,
Yes.
twitch.tv/Station Media.
Yes, you are. You're right. I think that, there's obviously been some shakiness surrounding Star Wars gaming since Disney got the title, because that was one of the strongest things that Star Wars did before Disney was gaming. And then EA got exclusivity rights, and I liked the Battlefront games. I think they were fine. There were obviously problems surrounding the release, but by the time Battlefront 2 stopped getting updates, it was a good and full game that people really enjoyed and had more players in its community than it did at the beginning when the game started, which is astounding. That is a hard feat to manage as a AAA game.
Right.
And
Right.
so
Yeah, sure.
so I think there's a lot good that we've gotten out of Star Wars gaming. Fallen Order, obviously. There's been some mobile games that haven't been half bad. And I think and Squadrons. So I think this spreading it out and giving more studios the opportunity to make Star Wars games is great. I'm very excited about that. And I look forward to being able to get more Star Wars games down the line.
Especially off of competent mechanics, like Fallen Order is based off of some Dark Souls style mechanics.
Right.
And so a lot of people have a lot of familiarity with that. It's easy to adapt to the idiosyncrasies of how the game plays. And there's different modes for these games so that you can get more into the story of the game as opposed to the difficulty and the challenge.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah.
I think you're right. So our last piece of news is something pretty exciting. It's going to be something that we're going to see roll out very soon. By the time, if you're listening to this on opening day, it'll just be a little over 2 weeks, and that'll be on May 4th on Star Wars Day. We're going to be getting a feature from the Disney Gallery, The Book of Boba Fett. So we're going to be getting a behind-the-scenes peek at the making of the Book of Boba Fett, and we're going to get a really long Book of Boba Fett documentary-style exploration, just a behind-the-scenes story about how they brought Boba Fett back to life, how they brought the character back to life, and how they went in the directions they did with the show.
Yeah, that would be exciting. We should do like a watch party or something for that, and just hopefully discuss with some viewers what they think about this thing. Boba Fett, how many minutes of screen time did this character have in the original trilogy?
Oh, gosh. You're putting me on the spot. I know he only has 6
less
lines
than
of
10
dialogue,
minutes.
but it's certainly less than 10 minutes. You're right.
Yeah, in 2 films. And Disney's probably made $1 billion off this character. I'm probably exaggerating only slightly. But you talk about something really basic, capturing the hearts and minds of so many people. I mean, was there even a Mandalorian before Boba Fett?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And we would not have the Mandalorian without Boba Fett. He paved the way for Din Djarin.
Well, and I'm even talking about the whole Mandalorian lore on these planets, on this Mandalore planet, and all this other stuff. Was that something that created to enrich the history of the Boba Fett character?
Yeah, exactly.
Where he got his armor,
that's what, you have this cool, muscled guy on screen that says a few lines of dialogue in 2 movies, and his armor spawns one of the most fleshed out parts of the Star Wars universe.
Yeah. You never see his face. Look. We didn't know what he might have looked like until the 2000s when Phantom Menace came out.
Attack of the Clones.
Not even that. Attack of the Clones. Sorry, excuse me. I'm excited. It's been a long time ago for me. It's confusing. So, yeah, Attack of the Clones and all that stuff. And even then, there's only speculation. I mean, we saw in the Book of Boba Fett, he healed in the back of tank, so he was all scarred up and gross the whole time, I guess. And the reality is that Boba Fett saw a Jedi chop his dad's head off. And even Tamura Morrison jokes about, on all the TikToks and stuff, about how he doesn't want a purple lightsaber or something like that.
Right.
So I hope, Tamura Morrison sounds to me like just a really good actor, person in general. His character as a person brings a lot to the Star Wars universe. And so this gallery that we're going to see is going to be really something interesting to see behind the scenes of how just the person that Tamura Morrison is. And so that ends the Holonet news. What we're going to get into now is our personal Star Wars moments of the week. Carter, what's yours?
Yeah, so this is, I like this segment. I think that it can add a little bit of character for us. And this Star Wars moment of the week is one of the most exciting I think I could even imagine having. Because this week, I got to introduce my friend from Germany to Star Wars. He'd never seen it before. He knew that Darth Vader was Luke's dad, but he doesn't even know about the Luke and Leia twist yet. The buddy and I that were watching it with him, when she gives him the kiss on the cheek for good luck, we're looking at each other, and he was kind of like, why are you guys looking at each other? He had no idea. He has no idea what's coming. We're going to watch all of the original trilogy over the next couple of weeks, but he really enjoyed it, and I'm very happy. It's always awesome. It's a great feeling to get to introduce new people to Star Wars. I can't wait till I have kids to be able to introduce them to Star Wars. I got to introduce my fiance to Star Wars recently, and it's such an amazing moment, because this amazing operatic adventure, it's impossible to hate it. You can't hate it, and it's so much fun to show this to people. So that is my Star Wars moment of the week, far and away.
And I want to comment on yours that it is one of the greatest intellectual properties of all time. It's so much fun. It brings so much people together. And then, like, I've got 2 little kids. They know a lot about Star Wars just repeating after me. We had the ABC board books that had a lot of the characters in them and stuff. But they don't yet care about Star Wars. So just like you get to introduce a friend of yours to it, I'm anticipating introducing it to my children. And I purposely have them don't mention the Vader father thing, so they can hopefully get a fresh take on this stuff one day.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't opt for machete order or anything like that to try and preserve the illusion. I think I'm just going to show it to my friend in release order because that's how we thought
Same
that he
with
would
my
get
children.
it. Yeah, I think that's. I showed my fiance in chronological order, and I'm happy that I did that because she's an adult. She knew about all of the twists and turns that were going to happen. So chronological order gives a lot of good context, and it makes Anakin's fall that much more emotional. But for someone who has been, preserved of the twists and turns, I think that release order is the only right way to do it.
Agreed.
So, Colin, what was your Star Wars moment of the week?
My moment of the week is just Saturday is the Ray Park meet and greet. And I've just been turning that over in my head. I know I said the same thing last week, but when does this opportunity come up?
Right. Especially where we live.
With all these Star Wars shows that they're doing, and I kind of know, I know in the cartoons they've done a lot of Maul's story, but Ray Park's not an old dude. He's still got a lot left in him, if you ask me. He's an accomplished actor. He's great at what he does. The Maul character is such a good character. It's going to be so interesting to get there and even if just briefly pick his brain for a few minutes, see if he can come on this podcast, ask him some questions and stuff. And that's just right around the corner, I can't wait to tell y'all exactly. Tune into our Instagram. You're going to see how that plays out in real time.
Right.
I'm not going to do a live feed. I might. I don't know. But I'm planning on dressing up. We're going to take some pictures. Come check it out.
Well, I'm excited to hear what you have to say. And one of the things I want you to talk to him about is him reprising his role for Solo, because Ray Park had the opportunity to play Darth Maul just a couple years ago in the Solo movie, and so it was obviously for a very brief cameo. But I want to hear what he has to say. Sam Witwer gave him the voice because Sam Witwer's voice has become the iconic voice of Maul, guy who voiced him in Clone Wars, guy who voiced him in Rebels, but it's still Ray Park standing up and doing the motion capture, or not the motion capture, just being Darth Maul in that scene. Being so I want to know what the differences were for him coming back to work for Star Wars, one, directly under George Lucas and then for Disney, but two, just over this giant amount of time. I mean, I think that it would have been 20 years almost exactly from when he reprised the role again. And so I want to know how different acting for him was after 20 years of having played that character previously.
Right. And I want to know if there's anything else coming down the pipe, obviously he probably won't be able to tell us about anything, but still, it's fun to speculate. Right.
Well, I know since we're on the subject of Kenobi, that during early drafts of the script, they were going to have Maul in, and then, Maul has an amazingly poetic ending in Rebels, my favorite episode of Rebels, of one of my favorite Star Wars properties, and so I think that it's good that he's not coming back in the Kenobi series, but I don't want to lose Ray Park. I want to see him continue to serve Star Wars and to be in Star Wars.
And especially if there's a flashback scene. There's no reason he can't be in there for a part of an episode.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you're totally right.
If the Mandalorian Season 3, they go back to Mandalore for some sort of redemption arc there. A lot of those people were followers of Maul. The armor has the little spikes on her head. And, Maul legitimately conquered that planet. So, Maul is a beloved character. They fleshed him out. They picked him up out of the pit, literally, So, the more that we can see of Maul, the better.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think you're totally right. I think that the more we can see him, the better, and that there's a lot of unfinished business between him and the Mandalorians. And Solo set up a lot for what is he doing during this time? Where is he? Mm-hmm. He hasn't been killed yet, even in the Kenobi timeline. Obviously, Kenobi just sees him in Rebels, so we can't have them directly contact. But his entire operating the Shadow Collective and ruling Mandalore has yet to be explored. And so this is important. I think that this is going to be a really good time to get some new good Maul stories in the years to come. So I think, Colin, with that, I think that we've covered what we need to cover. I think that we gave the people the best context we could about this super exciting show coming down the pipeline. I'm really excited to see it, and I can't wait to do each episode breakdown. But right now, I think that the teaser trailer got us. So I hope that you listeners will follow us at Star Wars.Station on Instagram. You can follow us on YouTube at Star Wars Station, and you can follow us on Twitch at twitch.tv/Station Media. We hope to see you guys again, and we hope to keep talking Star Wars with you. And with that, Colin, I think we should sign off.
Hey, thanks for tuning in, y'all. It's fun to spend time with y'all. Please comment on whatever you want. Join our Discord. We check it every day. We're active there. Hope to see you there. Thanks, y'all.